Botswana days. Yeah, I met Craig. I was actually, I would say a second year apprentice in Botswana at the time, and we were hunting elephant in an area we called Kukama, which was CT2, back when Botswana was still open to hunting at the time also. So, but anyway, you know, when you get to spend 14 days with somebody, you get to really get to know them and become friends, and you know, I really enjoyed hunting with him, and you know, just kind of see how he ticked and his work ethic. You know, every morning before we'd go out, he was punching away at the computer, knocking out chapters of books, and so it was fascinating to see. We ultimately, at the end of the safari, obviously were successful, and he took a beautiful bull at very close range. They're actually made for bow hunting, you know, and as long as you keep the wind and you keep sound, they're also very sensitive to sound, and especially foreign sounds, and in particular, what I've noticed throughout the years is anything metallic. And it's kind of funny, I often reference elephants, because elephants are very much the same. Any metallic sound you make out in the field, they'll pick it up instantly, and so will javelinas. They'll do the exact same thing, but they'll never second guess or smell. Well, no animal will. They'll second guess their eyes, they'll second guess their hearing, but they'll never second guess or smell.
Welcome to the Rna Outdoors Podcast, fueled by Ripcord Air Arrest and First Light Hunting Apparel. At RNA, we are public land DIY conservationists that love to share our passion for the outdoors. So join us and our team as we interview professionals in the industry to share insight knowledge that helps make hunters and anglers more successful. Hey listeners, subscribers, and fellow outdoorsmen and women. This is your host, Lucas Paw, and I'm excited to tell you about some of the sponsors that continue to help make this podcast not only happen, but grow and thrive in this digital world of audio content. This podcast is brought to you by Ripcord Air Arrest, the bow hunter's #1 fall-away rest on the market. Ripcord is known for 100% full-time arrow containment and their patented drop-dead brake system that eliminates launcher bounce back. Best of all, Ripcord is backed by their rock-solid guarantee. If the original owner has a part break for any reason, it will be repaired or replaced at no charge. And did I mention, Ripcord is located in southwest Montana, where all their products are made with pride in America. Check them out at ripcordairarrest.com and on their social media feeds. This podcast is brought to you by First Light Clothing and Hunting Apparel. Born in the Rockies in central Idaho, First Light's mission is to create simple, yet proven, versatile gear that provides comfort and performance in any situation while working to promote the pursuit of ethical hunting and stewardship. I recently joined the First Light Pro Staff team and have continued to be impressed year after year in their innovations in engineering of merino wool fabrics. 10 years ago, they started putting out wool fabrics with camo patterns, and immediately this changed the game. Since then, they offer multiple layering systems and kits in various proprietary patterns and continue to raise the bar with their competition. Find them online at firstlight.com or under their social media feeds. Go farther, stay longer. Testes.
Test.
You
1,
hear?
2, test.
Testicle
1, 2.
Festival.
1, 2, test. Remember in Step Brothers? Test. 1, 2, 2, 2, 1, test. Testes, 1, 2.
testicles?
Only have one testicle, spectacles, wallet, and watch. We're good.
Poor guy.
Poor dude.
Gets shot in the ass and lose a nut.
It happens, I guess.
You're no stranger to the podcast.
Yeah, you were my first one.
How was your first? Sweet.
You were
You were my first.
Yeah, you were my first one.
All right, coming to you from Laredo, Texas, here in the southern part of the state. This is Lucas Pa here on the Rna Outdoors Podcast, and have just spent the last 4 days here chasing some exotic game here in South Texas, and been having a really fun time. I don't actually want to leave, but unfortunately all good things must come to an end. But I was fortunate to spend some time with a good friend of mine and someone who is no stranger to the podcast. Actually met Jay over in Dallas Safari 2 or 3 years ago when Craig Boddington won the Weatherby Award, which is really probably one of the most highest ranking awards that you can win in the hunting and outdoors industry, and was fortunate to meet Jay Leyendecker at DSC. We sat at the dinner together and just kind of have gotten to be friends over the last few years, and we're able to connect and just have an awesome time and a fun weekend here in Laredo. So anyway, Jay, I'd like to welcome you back to the podcast, buddy.
Thanks for having me. It was a great time.
Yeah, absolutely. So, so just kind of going back, you and I met at Dallas Safari. Craig had invited Jason and I to his Weatherby Award dinner and gala, and was just an awesome night to be there to celebrate with him, and obviously the rest of the the folks that were there that night. But it was fun because we met you at the dinner and sat at the same table as you and Phil Macero and Phil's wife Suzanne, and just kind of got to know you guys, and ultimately ended up doing a podcast at the show that year.
Mm-hmm. Sure did. It was a good time.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So that's kind of a common
It was
thread.
Especially good whenever Sue spilled her glass of wine on you. That was like...
Was it the whole glass or the bottle?
I don't know, but it was a lot.
Yeah, it was a lot.
It was a lot.
I remember that. It's a good way to introduce yourself. Hey, Phil, meet my wife, Sue. There goes the wine.
It was funny.
Yeah. But, one common thread that you and I have is, Craig Boddington, and maybe just briefly just share a little bit your relationship with Craig and kind of how you met Craig. And obviously it goes back many years back in when you were a PH in Africa.
In Botswana days. Yeah, I met Craig. I was actually, I would say a first year, second year apprentice in Botswana at the time. And we were hunting elephant in an area we called Kukama, which was CT2, back when Botswana was still open to hunting at the time also. So, but anyway, when you get to spend 14 days with somebody, you get to really get to know them and become friends. And, I really enjoyed hunting with him, and, just kind of see how he ticked and his work ethic. Every morning before we'd go out, he was punching away at the computer, knocking out chapters of books, and so it was fascinating to see. We ultimately, at the end of the safari, obviously were successful, and he took a beautiful bull at very close range.
Yeah, that's one thing about Craig is he's continually writing and journaling and all his adventures.
Non-stop.
And the books he obviously the books he writes, but also with SCI he's putting out monthly editorials and just constantly writing, and there's so much knowledge you can gain just by reading some of his editorials that he writes.
Sure. He hunted in Kenya, so that was in 77 when Kenya closed, so he's been hunting Africa since prior to that, and that was, if I remember correctly, through my reading and knowledge of, that was his first safari. In Kenya. Yeah.
Well over 100 safaris.
Yeah, well over.
100 buffalo.
Fascinating.
And one of the things that resonated with me from his speech is how, when you get nominated for the Weatherby Award, it's so many species, so many countries and continents, but duplicates don't count.
No,
right?
They don't count, no.
Yeah, so you think about all the buffalo and all the animals he's harvested and all those duplicates that he's had. So he's probably won the Weatherby Award how many times around,
exactly,
right, with his background. So, yeah, just a great guy, and he's a local in our town where I live, and see him quite often at some of the NRA dinner events. And he's a lot of times he's downtown eating dinner with Don, and we'll run into him. And just a good guy, and just the knowledge and the experiences that he's shared and the stories he has is always fun to. And he's always got a story about something. If you bring up an outfitter, if you bring up, an area in a certain country, he's been there. He'll tell you a story about it. It's just amazing the amount of experiences he's had.
All over the world.
Yeah. Yeah, so kind of fast forward. So after DSC, I know you and I kind of kept in contact, and then this year in Reno, SCI moved from Vegas to Reno this year, so we connected at SCI as well, and we're able to catch up. We're kind of talking about maybe putting together a trip here to come out to South Texas. And black buck has always been something that when I went to South America about 10, 12 years ago, it was an animal that I wanted to harvest and I didn't, and I kind of regretted not doing it down there. But I'm also, hindsight looking at it, happy that I didn't, just because I know the quality of the black bucks down in South America aren't quite as big as some of the ones that you guys are raising here in South Texas. So you and I connected and kind of planned this trip, and as crazy as it is, it's amazing how fast time happens. I mean, that was in January. You and I were talking about this here. We're already in April, and it was here. So came out to Laredo, and you picked me up, and we went out and shot my bow, and we kind of started the first day with going after javelina, which was an experience for me. I've never hunted javelina. I've hunted in Arizona, but never had the chance to hunt javelina, and I was actually, surprised at, not so much, obviously we know they have terrible eyesight, but, their sense of smell is actually pretty good. And they did wind us a few times on a couple of the stalks that we were on, surprisingly. It's like almost all animals, they have a few scents that are really good, obviously some that aren't. And then you've got some animals that it doesn't matter, sight, smell, hearing. I mean, they've got the whole package. But javelina, clearly, I mean, they don't see you very well when you're stalking in on them.
No, they don't. They're actually made for bow hunting, and as long as you keep the wind and you keep sound, they're also very sensitive to sound, and especially foreign sounds. And in particular, what I've noticed throughout the years is metallic, anything metallic. And it's kind of funny, I often reference elephants because elephants are very much the same. Anything metallic any metallic sound you make out in the field, they'll pick it up instantly, and so will javelinas. They'll do the exact same thing, but they'll never second guess or smell. Well, no animal will. They'll second guess their eyes, they'll second guess their hearing, but they'll never second guess or smell.
Yep. See you once, hear you twice, but if they smell you,
gone.
Yeah, done deal.
Yeah.
What was interesting about them was, there was a couple times they winded us, and if we changed positions, within a few minutes they typically come back out and start feeding. And they are a diurnal animal, correct? So they do come out during the day and they sleep at night. So unlike a lot of pigs, like for us, the wild pigs a lot of times become nocturnal, where they're much more active in the evenings and bed up during the day.
Feral hogs will, yeah. But warthogs are diurnal also.
Yeah. So we had fun. We went out to one of your ranches and met CA, pretty cool guy, and went out and got in on a pretty good group of javelina and made a few stalks and was able to connect on a pretty good boar. I think it was about 35 yards, and smacked him with my bow, ran off.
Shot.
And like you said, they're pretty light-skinned, and I think as quick as I released that arrow, I saw the sparks of the broadhead hit the ground, and by then it had already blown through him, and
gone through him.
Yeah, and he ran off, and Sia was able to track him down and pull him out, and it was fun. It was neat. It was a different experience, and I've like I say, never hunted javelina before, and ended up taking a pretty good boar, so I was pretty happy with that.
Oh, it was you did a fantastic job, and once we got the wind completely right, it all worked out.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the way javelina hunting goes. It stayed steady for us long enough in order to get it done, and it was fun.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So you also guide for javelina, correct? So
I don't guide much anymore, but I definitely organize the hunts, set people out, all that kind of stuff.
Sure. Yeah, it was neat. And the country here it's crazy. When you picked me up and we were driving, I had a sense that I was back in Africa for just a, you know, when you brought it up and we were talking about it, and the mesquite trees and kind of the okatia and that type of landscape, it feels a lot like Africa because it's very dense. And it's, you know, obviously a lot of game ranches, and it's very similar to how Africa is.
The red dirt.
Yeah. Yeah, the red dirt, the caliche. And so it was kind of neat being here because there was, like I say, there was some experiences that I felt like it was almost like we were back in Africa. You've got these, you know, long fence lines that have these clear cuts down them, and it felt a lot like that. So it was cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, after Javelina, you know, we were kind of here targeting to hunt black buck, which again has been an animal that's been on my list for quite a while, and just haven't had really the opportunity to make it happen. But we were able to get out on another one of the ranches that you work at, and a lot of black buck on that ranch, surprisingly.
A lot of black buck. Yeah, they do a very good job of predator control that property, and that's what it takes for black buck to succeed in southern Texas. We have more predators in southern Texas than they do in other parts further north. So therefore, in order to have a thriving black buck population, you need to stay on top of it. And black buck are smaller animals, so you know I know of friends that have had a full-grown black buck get caught and killed by bobcat. Have seen it happen. So yeah, it'll just give you an idea that they have a really tough time down here. But if you stay on top of it and make terrain that's conducive to their being, they'll be just fine.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, this place is pretty neat because I mean it's obviously more of a whitetail ranch, but lots of Rio Grande turkeys on the property, and obviously the black buck, sable and Gemsbok. Yeah. Pretty neat to see some of the African species there, and I know you were kind of pivotal in getting some of those species there. I think you captured and helped transplant those animals there.
Yes, I did. I captured almost all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the plan with the Gemsbok and the sable is eventually. Right now they're more of a passion ornament than anything else, and eventually they will be for sale and for either hunting purposes or for restocking of other properties in the area or further out. Sure.
No telling, but it's a fascinating market and something that's available to the hunter in Texas that's not available everywhere.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, so we went out the first day, and we got into quite a few rams. We actually stalked within about 35 to 40 yards of a group of bachelor rams, and there was a really nice ram in that group, and then there was another mature ram along with some smaller ones. But it was kind of neat because when we were talking about this trip, we were talking about we'll do archery, and he goes, I mean I've had limited luck trying to hunt black buck with a bow, but after we did that first stalk, I was kind of thinking, okay, well, you get the wind on your side and you can kind of navigate through some of that mesquite. You can get pretty close to those animals, surprisingly.
No, we did a very good job, and that was about as close as I've ever come to spot and stalking in this terrain a black buck with the bow. With that purpose, I've had opportunities where you're not hunting black buck, and then they end up 5 feet from you,
Sure.
and you wish you would have had an archery hunter at the time, but with the intention of taking one with a bow on foot is I'll tell you what, that's about as good as it gets right there.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it was a win.
Yeah. And it's crazy. They're a very cagey animal. I mean, they're we pull up, in the side by side within a few hundred yards, and they are just gone, bolting, gone. I mean, one look, they'll kind of hunch up, and then they're gone. So
that's that they don't get hunted often. It's just their sense to survive and predators, and they understand the system.
Sure. Yeah. Very, very cagey. So, so we got close and we stalked in and didn't get opportunity, and then we kind of hunted the rest of that afternoon and ended up coming back into town and grabbing dinner, but kind of having the thought that we were going to get after it the next day, which when we went back out on, I think it was Sunday, it was raining. And
pouring.
Yeah, and the temperature temperature dropped and conditions changed, which I know, from most standpoints, when you hunt animals in the rain, they typically hunker down and there's not a lot of activity when it rains. So,
right.
Yeah. So that was kind of the case. And fortunately we were able to, get a break in the weather a little bit, and find a ram that I know you had targeted and had hunted previously in the past. And actually we saw the first morning when we went out, saw that ram.
It was the first one we saw.
Yeah.
When we came out and with a rifle, he gave us a beautiful opportunity,
Yeah.
and I had hunted him with 2 or 3 people before and had never gotten a real shot opportunity, and I was actually quite surprised that we caught him out like that. You know? And that he gave us that much time, because he generally didn't.
Yeah, usually they're gone. So anyway, so we were able to locate this ram, and we had actually kind of seen him in this general vicinity or area the day previous.
This is his territory. He kept going back to mark his territory there.
Yeah,
so.
Which is interesting about black buck. Maybe talk a little bit about how they mark their territory, which is something interesting. But
black buck, they tend to go and I don't know,
defecate,
yeah,
dump,
defecate in the same spot over and over and over and over. And when you find spots like that, rams are using that to markate their territory. And this guy, we had seen him out there in this little, this old oil pad flat, and had seen where he had been defecating there. We seen him there and then saw that, so then I knew that he would be back. And and being a lone ram, they generally like to live and out in the open, because that way they can get a one-up on predators. So they'll generally try to put themselves in a place where they can see in all directions for 50, 60 yards in any which way.
Sure.
And that's just part of their defense mechanism. So when we saw him one day, when we drove past, the day prior, we drove past and we saw him laying down there and got up and run off. We knew that that's where he would bed up in order to protect himself from predation. And then on top of that, then we saw where he had been establishing territory. So we knew exactly, we had a very good chance at getting him now. And and I hadn't seen him do that before in the past. So
which ended up working out for us, because that next day, we literally came up to a pile of mesquite that had been cut and stacked, and actually ended up working for our advantage. And you kind of popped up and looked over and kind of gave me the nod that he was there, and we ranged him, and he was roughly about 92 yards, which obviously makes for a bedded shot on an animal at 92 yards makes it rather difficult with a bow.
A stretch.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a stretch. It's one thing if you're like hunting pigs or other things that you're not totally that concerned with, but even that, from an ethical standpoint, that's quite a distance with the bow. So we actually ended up bumping him. We ended up pushing him up, and he ended up pushing out and left that pad. And
I think, I don't know what it was, and they're just so wary. That he just got up, and he didn't like something about the situation, and because he sure didn't smell us.
Yeah.
I think he may have seen one of us move, or, kind of, we were there and then we weren't, kind of thing. And it just made him a little nervous, but he got up and went into the brush. And then after about, 30 minutes or so?
Maybe 30 minutes, yeah.
He decided, no, the brush was too thick, and, came back out into his open, and that was his biggest mistake.
He came right back out, and you were down on the ground, and I was sitting there watching, and I saw the silhouette, and I saw him walk right back out, and I said, hand me that damn rifle.
I handed you that damn rifle.
Yeah, you were kind of giving me a hard time, because we were sitting there debating on, do we maybe try to wait him out? Is he going to come in and feed? Is he going to come closer? And he just looked at me, and you're like, damn bow hunters. So I was concerned I might have made a mistake there, until when we were sitting there and he came back, I knew what the right thing to do was. So
my biggest concern was really our weather and time constraints. And that, and if you wanted to stick with the bow, I would have stuck with the bow the whole way through. But yeah, I knew how bad you wanted one. I knew how good he was, and so I was kind of hoping you would make that decision on your own.
And in the same boat, I mean, I've been wanting one of these. Like I said, I obviously have the ability to come back, and if I do it again, maybe come back with a little more time and try to do it with my bow. But this one just presented the right shot,
perfect opportunity,
less than 100 yards, and placed one right in the shoulder, and I don't think he went more than probably 50 yards and piled up.
I was actually very shocked because you made a spectacular shot, and it's a great caliber, a 6.5 284, and I was shocked that he took it so well, because he took the shot and he ran, and I
mean, he was actually behind a tree, quartered slightly towards us. Behind a tree, and I just saw his head out. And when you said, go ahead and take him behind the tree, I said, so I had it set up and just squeezed off on the trigger, and he piled up pretty quick. So it was a good, quick, ethical kill.
Yeah, it was perfect.
And couldn't have been happier. When we walked up to him, just a beautiful ram, good size. I always look at them, and like with kudu and other spiral horn animals, always kind of measure them by the amount of turns they have, and I always kind of look for that last turn at the end out,
and the one out, the one that kicks out,
with like Inyala and obviously kudu, and this black buck did the same thing with that just additional little bit of turnout, which made him, obviously a very mature and beautiful animal.
Beautiful animal.
Yeah.
I was very happy with him.
Yeah, so that was a great hunt, a lot of fun, and we got some photos and just kind of spent some time, reminiscing about the hunt and all that, and obviously enjoyed that. And then, I came back into town, and I'll say one of the things that's been really spectacular about this trip has been the food. I think we've went to a different restaurant just about every day. I think we've went to a couple, one restaurant a couple times, but everything has just been phenomenal here.
Yeah.
The food is just
fantastic,
incredible here in Laredo, and almost reason to come visit and come back just to come and have some of the cuisine here. It's incredible.
Yeah.
So anyway, and then so yesterday, actually when you picked me up from the airport, you said, "Hey, pull that black bag out." I'm like, "Which black bag?" You're like, "The one behind the seat." So I go to lift it and pull it up, and it's pretty heavy, and I go and I start opening it up, and it's about the size of probably like a small duffel bag, and I unzip it, and here are these matching set of Blauser, basically handguns in cartridge of 300 wind short and also 7mm 08.
Right.
Fully scoped, muzzle broke, just beautiful pieces. Very nice woodwork on the stock. So anyway, we had gone and bought some ammunition for the 7mm, thinking that was probably the less of the mule that was going to kick versus the 300.
We were a bit wary of that 300.
300 is a little scary.
Yeah.
But anyway, we went out and shot these. We shot the 7mm 08, and I was shocked at how smooth they shot, how accurate they shot, and really the limited recoil behind those Blauser pistols was just incredible.
It was incredible.
So we started.
I had no experience with them either, so we were both kind of.
You're like, you're going to shoot it first.
Yeah,
I'm like, all right.
You're the one that wants to shoot it more than I do, so you shoot it first.
You were on the phone working some stuff, and I put the first round in 100 yards and smacked the target. So I was thinking, wow, that's pretty incredible. So then I grabbed my rangefinder and I looked at the next one, was a little over 200 yards, and center punched that one. Right. So at 200 yards was zeroed, and then we just started having fun, and ultimately both ended up shooting out to 400 yards.
400 yards with that handgun.
With that handgun, 129 grain bullet, and center punching the target.
Yeah.
So kind of teed us up to maybe think about, hey, let's try to maybe go shoot another Javelina with this handgun. But yeah, just really neat. I mean, really cool. I mean, how often can you say you've ever shot a handgun, let alone 100 yards, let alone out to 400 yards?
Yeah, and hit what you were actually shooting at.
And somewhat proficient, too.
We did it multiple times.
Yeah. So we went back out to the ranch and caught up with a few of the guys out there, and we actually shot a few rounds out there to prove to those guys that...
Yeah, they couldn't believe us.
Yeah, they're like, there's no way that thing will hit that Javelina out to 200 yards. There was a Javelina target, and both of us smacked it. So, so we went back out, and... late in the afternoon, and able to stock in on some javelina. And one thing I will say is, and it's like any shooting environment, if you're sitting on a bench, everything's tight, or if you're proned out and you've got a rifle shooting, controlled conditions like that are much different than setting a rifle on shooting sticks, or in this case, a handgun, which in this, with the scope, you have to actually, to get the proper eye relief, you got to hold it out, almost with your arms fully extended. So that kind of adds an element of difficulty to it as well. So anyway, we were able to stock in and get within probably 100 yards-ish, I would say 75 to 100 yards of this group of javelina, and ended up smacking one.
Yeah, did a great job.
Yeah,
made a good shot
with that 7 mag and put him down, and
instantly.
Yeah, right in the road. One thing about the javelina is as you hunt them in the roads and other areas where there's areas you can actually get a shot. A lot of times if you hit them, they run into that thick stuff, so it's hard to get in there with the cactus and all the other stuff. So my thought is I'm just going to plant one in his head and be done. And that's what we did.
That's what worked out, right?
Yeah, it was fun. So got to harvest a couple of javelina, one with that smoke pole. Blouser, and then obviously the one with the bow and the black buck as well. So it was just a fun trip.
Yeah,
man, great time.
You used a different firearm for every animal you ended up taking.
Yeah, that's kind of neat. Yeah, it doesn't happen all the time.
No, it doesn't.
So yeah, just a lot of fun, and like I said, the evenings and the dinners and meeting your family and hanging out was, to me, probably the more of the reason why I wanted to come here and hang out versus the hunting. The hunting's always kind of a bonus and a plus, but it was great just spending time here and hanging out with you and getting to know you a little better and enjoying southern Texas, and I've never been to this part of Texas, so culturally it's different, and we're
everybody says that,
but
it's true.
As we drive to the hunting ranch, we go through a border patrol area, and clearly we were hunting in some areas where some illegal immigration is an issue around here, and it's just something I've never had to deal with or never been a part of, and something.
And it's just so much a part of life here.
Yeah.
You don't even...
You're used to it. Like, we're sitting there and there's helicopters swirling around. You're like, oh, yeah, the border patrol's out, looking for, illegal immigration.
There must be, a group or illegals, on a ranch or something that they're trying to locate.
Yeah. Just a different appreciation with what these guys deal with down here, and that really the problem that there is, with some of that goes on. So... Yeah, I mean, feel totally safe here. Not like I feel like I'm concerned being here. It's just interesting having to kind of live with that, day in and day out. It's not something that even in California where I'm at, we probably see it. We just don't deal with it to the extent that you guys do here.
Right.
So yeah. Well, cool, Jay. So what's next? What's on the docket for you this year? Anything exciting?
As of right now, no, but it's always open to suggestion, So I tend to get wild hairs and just go do something, and call one or two buddies and see if anybody's in, and nobody's in, I go by myself.
Sure.
So that's kind of where I'm at on the hunting side of things and whatnot. Got lots of work ahead of me with my real job, but but that's another story in itself.
Sure. Yeah. So I know we're talking about a couple ideas and things, and I'm kind of the same way. Like if someone says, hey, let's go to New Zealand or let's go to Australia and shoot a buffalo or something, I'd be kind of like, okay. If we can get the time and make it happen, I like those spur of the moment type trips too.
They're the best.
Yeah.
And, anything done with any kind of spontaneity, dude, it's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of half thrown together, and kind of look at your ammo box and say, "Yep, I got enough shells to do this." Because if I try to order them now, they'll never get here in time.
Yeah.
So it's always fun.
Yeah. Well, cool, man. Appreciate you having me, and appreciate being here. And
thank you for coming. It's been a great time, and I look forward to you coming back and spending many more days of field with you. We've I think I've enjoyed your company, and I appreciate you making the trek all the way over here. And Just having a good time.
Yeah, we'll have to try to get you and Karina out and the family. Bring Frankie out and come and maybe do some wine tasting.
That'd be great.
Hang out in California. I know you want to shoot a blacktail, so we'll have to maybe work on that at some point down the road and see what happens. And then that's the beauty, I think, of kind of the hunting industry and the people that you meet. It's hunting, I think, brings people together, and you meet a lot of people that way, but it goes deeper than that. It's the friendships and the relationships you make that are what's really important. And look forward to doing this again sometime.
Sounds good, amigo.
Access deer next time, though.
Let's do it.
We need to find good access deer.
Good access buck. You let me worry about that. You just come.
Just show up, Jill. Take care of it. Yeah. So anyway, good times, man. Thanks again. Appreciate it. And until next time.
Until next time.
Sounds good, man. Keep in touch.
Likewise.
All right.
Out.
Hey everyone, this is Lucas Paw, host of the Rna Outdoors Podcast. Please check out Podbean and iTunes. If you have an iPhone or iPad, go to the podcast app on your device, search for Rna Outdoors, and hit the purple subscribe button. When doing this, it will automatically upload when new podcasts are loaded, and they will download into your queue. For Android users, you can access the podcast through Podbean, Stitcher, or use our website, www.rnaoutdoors.com/podcast. In addition, under the Rna Outdoors Podcast channel, please leave a review and a 5-star rating. These reviews help boost our popularity and outreach. You can also follow us on our social media outlets, Twitter at Rna Outdoors, Facebook, Rna Outdoors, and Instagram, Rod and Arrow Outdoors. All links are in the show notes as well. If you like what you've heard, we hope you'll pass along our channel to your friends and colleagues. Keep up the good fight. We cannot sit by and watch the public lands devoted to wildlife protection wither away. There's simply too much at stake. Make your voice heard, speak up, and get involved with conservation efforts, and know that every little bit helps. As we say on the mountain, go farther, stay longer.